everyone. Happy Halloween. I'm sure you're all having a good time, eating candy, watching horror films, trick-or-treating. I myself am currently unable to do any of those things. Why, you may ask? Well, if you recall the ending to the last episode... Grey go. Way bird. Now, as creepy as that was, I consider myself to be a brave person, and I'm not usually one to let some weirdo over the phone freak me out. And so I decided to do some further research on this so-called grey go-away bird, and I found nothing at first. The grey go-away bird, also known as the grey louis, is exactly what it says on the tin, a small grey bird commonly found in the African savannah, which apparently makes extremely loud quack noises when threatened, hence the go-away part of its name. But other than that, I couldn't find anything wrong with this bird exactly. It seems pretty normal to me, but I have to admit, it looks kind of cute. But then I went to the bookshop one day, and I discovered this book, The Grey Go-Away Bird by James Barker. An innocent-looking book at first glance. A picture book for children, as a matter of fact. Yep, just a nice, happy little kid's book about a bunch of birds, right? Well, that's where you're wrong. Oh sure, the blurb at the back of the book tries its best to act all light and friendly, but yet even reading that alone you can tell that something is off. Just listen to this. Grey go-away bird, or Corytizoides concolor. Yeah, because a normal children's book would totally mention the animal's Latin name for no reason whatsoever. I mean, what kind of child wants to know the exact species and name of the animal they're reading about? Aside from me as a kid. But then again, you already knew that I am and always shall be smarter than everyone, so shut up! Anyway, grey go-away bird is unlike the other birds on the island and is often forgotten and overlooked by them. To be fair, the Nintendo Switch and Red Dead Redemption 2 were just announced that week, so you can't exactly blame the other birds for not wanting to talk to anyone else. Topical! One day, some smelly old bird catchers arrived to the island, and it's up to Grey Go-Away Bird to help the others before it's too late. I guess Boggis, Bunsen Bean finally gave up on Mr. Fox and decided to try hunting birds instead. This story contains a subtle anti-bullying message and celebrates one's uniqueness in a fun and unusual way. If by fun you mean stories so basic it borders on surrealism, and by unusual you mean imagery so goddamn disturbing your children will shit the bed, then yes, that is indeed an accurate description of the grey go-away bird. Because this seemingly harmless picture book is in fact one of the creepiest things I have ever read in my life, and I've spent evenings skimming through M.R. James like it was nothing. This isn't even the Uncanny Valley. If anything, this is the Uncanny Valley that leads to the chilly frozen tundra of the Uncanny Mountain, and at the top of the mountain is the Uncanny Rocket, where you climb on board and blast off to the Uncanny Moon! In other words, this book is a little bit weird. And yet so weird and so creepy and so insomnia-inducing that I am physically unable to do shit right now unless I read this book all the way through and maybe, just maybe, find a way to vanquish this beastly force of cardboard and paper back to the unholy realm from whence it came. So sit on tight, boys and girls, because this Halloween night's going to be a real doozy. This is Poindexta, and this is the Grey Go-Away Bird. One of the first things you'll see at the beginning of this book is a huge illustration of all the birds together against the backdrop of a dark forest. But while the brightly coloured birds have formed their own clique on the left side of the page, the poor little grey go-away bird is sitting all by himself on the right. What's especially worth mentioning is how the art style of the other birds looks strangely realistic compared to the grey go-away bird's more appropriately cartoonish appearance. The clashing designs of these characters are alienating enough on their own, but then a thought just occurred to me. What if that was intentional? Makes sense to me. The grey go-away bird looks so tiny and sad. That's how you know he's the good guy. while the rest of the birds, on the other hand, are all bright and creepy and they all look the same. I'm serious, their faces are exactly the same. They're like robots. They're all evil. Look at their soulless expressions and their cold, dead eyes. You can tell just by gazing at these pretentiously exotic birds that they are all evil. Yes, all of them. Especially that one. He's the meanest bird of the lot. I bet he's the ringleader behind this shady conspiracy. Look at his tiny beady eye. What? No, Athena, don't worry. You're too adorable to be evil. It's this red bastard right here we've got to watch out for. Say, while you're around, I don't suppose you'd mind picking me up some candy, would you? Seeing as how I won't be able to go out to do any trick-or-treating tonight. You don't mind at all? Great! In that case, off you go! Oh, sorry, Athena. By the way, while you're out, don't bring back any candy that's filled with either nuts or fruit or basically anything that isn't caramel, okay? Great. Bye. Sorry, I guess. The story itself is pretty basic, on account of being a picture book, of course. It's a generic all of the other reindeer plot about how the grey go-away bird is the only bird on the island that isn't all bright and colourful. And because the trees on the island are grey too, everybody ignores him all the time and forgets he's even there. But these birds aren't just bitchy, they're also bad at hide and seek because, well, they're too colourful to hide in such a dark jungle. The marvellously bright and colourful birds would always poke out their heads from their hiding places for everyone to see. It wasn't very good hiding. No shit, it's not good hiding. These Tweety bird fuckers can't even leave behind a tree to save their lives. Also, how come they all look like they're piled up on top of each other? Is each bird sitting on their own neatly placed branch on the other side of the tree? Or are they just so codependent that they can't help but form some mass group piggyback in the middle of a damn hide and seek game? And what the fuck is a blue jay doing on a tropical island? You've migrated too far, little buddy. Best fly back home ASAP, because these guys are the worst. At group interaction, at hide and seek, at everything. Never did a seeker finish the sentence, ready or not, here I come. Not once. Although, in truth, not every single bird was found. They always forgot grey go-away bird. Seriously, other birds, you need to get good at hide and seek. It's no use being so sinister looking if you can't accomplish something as simple as a playground game. And this bird is still the worst. He thought he could use his black magic to make himself smaller than he was in the last image and dye his fur purple, but I got my eye on him. Grey go. Way bird. Did anybody hear something? Must be my damn paranoia playing up. One afternoon, after the marvellously bright and colourful birds had finished playing hide and seek for the 100th time, they decided to fly above the island. Oh god, those evil bastards suck at everything as it is. How the fuck are they going to manage flying? It probably goes something like this. Yet again, they had forgotten about Grey Go-Away Bird, so nobody remembered to invite him. Grey Go-Away Bird was so upset, he flew as far away from the other birds as possible. So, this book claims to have an anti-bullying message, right? Yet, from what I can tell, the main reason there's any conflict here is that the Grey Go-Away Bird is too scared to stand up for itself. And as much as I go on about the other birds being evil, which they totally are, by the way, the fact of the matter is they're too damn naive to know any better. It's just a big misunderstanding, really. So, way to get your moral message across in such a half-assed manner, book. We also see another illustration, this time depicting all the birds flying off and leaving the poor Grey Go-Away Bird behind, and wait a minute, where's that crimson fucker? He was there in the last two group shots, but he's not on this page. In fact, he never appears in the entire book ever again. Where the hell did he go? Grey go. Way bird. Hey, this is getting ridiculous. Wait, what the fuck? So while the birds are flying around in the sky,
Grey go. Way. Bird.
fucking screaming, jump scare, fucking what the shit, fucking. Athena, thank God you're back. Be a dear and help me destroy this preschool Necronomicon before it jump scares me to death, please. The book, obviously. This book right here. There was this bird inside and it looked weird and then it disappeared, but then it popped up again and it started yelling at me. Alright then, fine. See for your own bloody self. Never mind. Just give me my Halloween candy. Thank you. Christ, maybe it is all in my head. Maybe I just need to eat some food and then I'll feel better. Oh, bourbon. Now, as I was saying, while the birds are flying around to the sky, they're having such a good time that none of them notice a boat making its way towards the island. What makes it so unusual is that apparently no one has visited the island for a very long time, longer than even the birds can remember. And who are these unexpected newcomers? On board the boat were two smelly old bird catchers. You hear that, boys and girls? This book is teaching us a very important lesson, that judging people by appearances is wrong. Unless, of course, you're judging them by how they smell, in which case, that's just fine. So the next time you see that one kid at school whose family's so poor they can't afford to wash themselves properly, and he's stinking up harder than an entire shipment of men's deodorant exploded inside a slaughterhouse, drown that little brat into a pond until the waters cleanse away his sins. Or, until he drowns to death. Hey, don't blame yourself for committing murder at such a young age. It was the book's fault! It's this book's fault! It's evil! They had heard about an island that was grey and home to some rather marvellously bright and colourful birds. The smelly old bird catchers had also heard that if they could catch just one of these birds, it would make them very rich. They planned to catch all of the marvellously bright and colourful birds. Great job fucking up the ecosystem, guys. I'm sure the world of poaching will be so proud of you when they find out that you managed to do your job with such subtlety and professionalism. You wiped out an entire flock of birds. Hey, even the hunting industry has standards, I guess. By the way, Fatman and Robin must be doing really badly if they're resorting to petty poaching nowadays. I guess they were both driven insane by one birdie, and now they won't stop their hunting spree until all the birdies are dead. Hey, my idea's still more creative than anything in this story. The two bird catchers swing their nets to the bright and colourful birds upon their return, and they fly away in such a panic all their feathers get left behind. Because having the bird catchers actually catch the birds and pluck out their feathers would simply be too dark for a book aimed at children. Even though the illustrations are probably scaring them enough as it is. Grey go-away birds heard the commotion from the other side of the island. Hey, will you guys keep that orgy down? I'm trying to watch The Walking Dead. Oh no, something bad must have happened to the other birds. I guess this makes the grey go-away birds the new ruler of the island.
Bow down, bitches! Bow down, bitches! Bow down, bitches!
Just then, Grey go-away bird saw two strange figures. He froze in fear. But the two strange figures walked past him. He was so still against the island's grey trees that the smelly old bird catchers didn't see him as they passed. Never had Grey go-away bird been so happy to be grey. Another great moral from this charming little book. It's okay to be ugly, especially if you're so ugly that no one will murder you. And as we all know, ugly people never die. I should also point out that this page in the book is accompanied by a black and white drawing of the grey go-away bird hiding behind a tree and managing to avoid being seen by one of the bird catchers. That's all fine and good because it's clearly shown what's being described in the text. But the giant colour illustration on the opposite page is a little confusing. It's just the exact same picture from before of that boat sailing next to the island, only most of the colours have gone and nearly everything looks grey. And instead of a giant vibrant looking flock of birds, we see the great go-away bird flying ahead all on his own, which doesn't make much sense within the context of the story. I mean, sure, the last sentence on that page says that once the bird catchers were out of sight, the grey go-away bird flew high above the island looking for his friends. Even though none of the other birds really acted friendly towards him, and from what I recall at the beginning, all they did was ignore him all the time, they wouldn't let him play hide and seek with them. But nonetheless, as this book says, you should always forgive people for hurting your feelings. It doesn't make you cowardly or sycophantic, it just makes you nice.
You're not good, you're not bad, you're just nice.
But it's still such an unnecessary juxtaposition, because even though most of that page was describing the great go-away bird escaping the bird catchers, the great big illustration just focuses on the very last line while making a pointless throwback to that one image from before where, wait, that one image? Oh no!
Grey go. Way. Bird.
No, what am I doing? This is a complete waste of a Halloween special. This book isn't really evil, it's just all in my head. I mean, sure, some of the images are creepy looking, but so what? It's just creative. It's a children's book. It's just a children's book. It's just a harmless, happy little picture book about a little bird. It's nothing. This is a complete waste of an evening. I shouldn't be scared over this. It's just a book. May as well continue this review anyway. But like I said, this was a children's book. I saw it in a children's section at the bookshop. So there is no real creepy imagery in this really, it's just my imagination. There is nothing bad about this book. It's a children's book. It's a children's book. It's a children's book. Let's move on. Let's move on with this children's book. Children's book, children's book, children's book. Horror stories. H.P. Lovecraft would rise out from his grave and be all like, dude, what the fuck? Oh god, this illustration though. Jesus! Fortunately, I myself am far too mature to wet my pants after viewing such an ungodly image of fear incarnate. But could the same be said for any child reading this? Imagine being a parent and seeing this book in the children's section at a bookshop and reading the back of the book and thinking, oh, that's nice, it's an anti-bullying message. I'm sure my child would love it if I read this story to them before bedtime. Wrong answer, it's creepy. Fucked up looking featherless birds. No sleep for your children tonight. This is the kind of evil that predates civilization, back before monkeys even learned how to walk upright. Hell, maybe even before life itself. I was right about these birds. I was right about this book. This whole thing is evil! Great. Now I know I have to keep reading this. The grey go-away bird must be stopped, no matter the cost. So in case you had no idea what was going on with that fucking illustration, the great go-away bird saw a whole bunch of footprints going into a cave and followed after them in spite of his fear of the impending darkness. And inside the cave he saw them. Come on, great go-away bird. All of the other birds are frightened, naked and weak now. That means you can blackmail them into doing anything you want. Give you respect and recognition? No problem there. Teach those morons how to play hide and seek properly? You've got it. And best of all of the bird pussy to last your entire lifetime. Do birds even have pussies? Athena? Hey, I was just asking. After the other birds explain what happened to them, the great go-away bird decides to go out and seek vengeance on the bird catchers. By accident, anyway. It was very late when he found the smelly old bird catchers. They had set up camp and were plotting how to capture the birds. Stepping into the light of their campfire, Great Go-Away Bird was nervous, but he politely asked the smelly old bird catchers to leave his friends alone. Again, in what world were they his friends, exactly? Forgive and forget might sound alright on paper, but if the cliquey bitches that picked on you looks like this now, the most appropriate form of action would be to light those fuckers on fire and cast them back to the flaming pits from hell from where they belong. The smelly old bird catchers were terrified. Great Go-Away Bird hadn't noticed that, in the firelight, his shadow was gigantic. Great Go-Away Bird has become death, destroyer of worlds. You see, he's a monster now, just like the rest of them. Humanity is doomed, I tell ya. Doomed! Before you could say marvellously bright and colourful, the smelly old bird catchers ran as fast as they could to their little rowboat. They rowed faster than anyone had ever rowed before. They rowed straight past their bigger boat, too afraid to stop, even for a moment, to climb aboard. The smelly old bird catchers would not be coming back to the island anytime soon. Further proof of how bad these bird catchers are at their job. Not only do they try to catch more birds than was necessary, but apparently they're so moronic that one giant shadow of a tiny little bird is enough to scare them off. I mean, you'd have to be a real idiot to be so afraid of one bird screaming at you. The story ends with the fleshy eyesores from hell thanking the Great Go-Away Bird for his bravery and promising to include him in all their wicked plans of world domination from now on. They even gave him a headdress made out of their feathers so he'll never be ignored. Well, that's just cultural appropriation right there. Oh god, the other birds are still scary looking! The marvellously bright and colourful birds even learned how to play hide and seek properly, but they still prefer to play it the way they used to.
We hope you've enjoyed No Moral Theater, ladies and gentlemen.
Actually, I think this book taught me some very useful lessons. Don't be a bully, don't harm the environment, and above all else, never, ever, ever judge someone by how they look. Unless that someone happens to resemble a freaky, featherless bird, in which case kill them! Kill them all! That was the Great Go-Away Bird, and that was an experience. A confusing, terrifying experience which will forever haunt my darkest dreams in spite of its age appropriateness or lack thereof. I mean, just why? Why, book? Why? The story of the Great Go-Away Bird is a simple one, perhaps the most generic anti-prejudice tale anybody could write for little children. This animal is good, but different. Other animals mean, but then something bad happens and the different animal turns out to be useful, so all the animals become friends at last. But the thing that makes this story stand out the most compared to similar books also happens to be its most distracting drawback, and that is the accompanying artwork. I'll admit that it's very beautifully drawn and a lot better than it needs to be, but certain parts of it just seem a little too out there for its intended audience. From the clashing character designs, with the cartoonish appearance of the titular character, the realism of the other birds, and also the strange Ralph Steadman-esque depiction of the bird catchers, to more noticeable elements like the scary images of the featherless birds. Hell, the entire atmosphere is pretty dark and gloomy for a picture book. It all takes place inside a monochrome jungle, and a few colourful objects and characters present are just creepy looking. I suppose that the Great Go-Away Bird isn't the worst thing in the world, but I'm still genuinely confused as to how or why someone out there even thought that this thing would be appropriate for children. It looks so simple and unassuming, yet at the same time it's strange and eerie and makes for an uncomfortable reading experience. Hey, I don't even know why I'm focusing so much on the story itself, when it's the book that's harvesting this evil supernatural presence, and I've got to destroy it once and for all. Or maybe it's just a children's book, and the fear was in my head all this time. Well, On that anticlimactic note, I have to go and celebrate Halloween properly. No more being scared. This is Poindexta, and this is the end of the review. But before I watch some cool horror movies or something, I need to destroy this book just so it never scares anyone ever again.
She doesn't sing.
Grego. Ah, way, but. 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 Grego. Ah, way, but.